Tesla just had their big event, right? This is their We Robot event. And it was very interesting, very powerful. They showed all sorts of really cool technology, which is great, lots of development. But what does it mean for academia? Does it mean anything for academia? Is this just another tech expo, if you will? Um, the thing is, it's a little bit of both, right? It's a little bit of, yeah, it's more tech, which is nice in development, but there is something here for us to really think about in academia, in all fields. And this is that the big major announcement here that Elon Musk made was talking about robotaxis. So this is something that he's expressed before, and there's been lots of talk about this, but now there's a bit more concrete stuff going on with the robotaxis. He showcased the robotaxi, showed it off, explained what it was going to look like, what its capabilities are. It's going to have lots of different aspects in that there's not going to be a seat for the driver. There's not going to be a steering wheel. It truly is going to be a taxi, meaning that it's designed for passengers and not for a driver. So it really is the future. And I really loved one of the comments that he made.
We want to have a fun, exciting future that if you could look in a crystal ball and see the future, you'd be like, yes, I wish I could be there now. That's what we want. The future should look like the future.
The future should look like the future, which is a nice little thing. But of course, Elon Musk has been making these things, right? He has been turning these fantastical things into a reality. And that's the key. That's the key that I think a lot of us in academia have, I don't know if saying have been fighting, but have been sort of taking more of a wait and see approach. Well, the reality is here. The robotaxis are right there. He explained how full self-driving will be implemented in 2025, so at the beginning of next year, and that it'll start in LA or California in general and Texas, and then it'll branch out from there. So the idea is full self-driving next year, and then the automated taxis, the full taxis starting in production in 2027, right? So full self-driving and then the taxis. When those come out, what will that mean for society? If we look and anticipate that robo-taxis and full self-driving will take over, well then how is that going to affect the economy? How is that going to affect society? Things like one of the big things that he highlighted are parking lots. Well, we won't need as many parking lots if we have robo-taxis. If we have robo-taxis where the price of a ride will be so much cheaper, and you could even make it so that, hey, I own the robo-taxi, but so it's giving me a ride, and then when it's not giving me a ride, it's giving other people rides, right? So there's a whole economy going on there. And then when I need it, it comes back to pick me up. So that would mean that we would have less parking spaces. And in some cities, parking spaces take up a huge amount of space. So that could now become green spaces.
Or when the car drives you around a city, you'll see there's a lot of parking lots. There's parking lots everywhere. Parking garages. And so what would happen if you have an autonomous world is that you can now turn parking lots into parks. And so we're taking the ing lot out of parking lot. Welcome.
The phrase he said is taking the ing lot out of parking lot. So that means it would just simply be a park, which is a beautiful thing and great. But again, how does that affect society? How does that affect the cities? How does that affect the economies? There's lots of things for us to really consider in academia, because these are the type of questions that we need to be asking and our students need to be thinking about, because they're the ones that are going to have to actually deal with this, right? I mean, in 4 years, life is going to look completely different if we have robo-taxis everywhere, if a majority of people have electric cars, if a majority of people are using these types of taxi services instead of owning their own car. How is that going to affect all sorts of things? Urban planning, the electrical grid, the simple economics, businesses, all these things we need to be thinking about right now. We need to be asking these type of questions and then put them into scenarios, put them into the actual courseware in order for our students to be fully prepared for the real realities that are coming. This is reality. This is really happening. It's not one of those things, as far as I know, Elon Musk, and he even joked about this in his presentation, where he promises certain things, right? But the thing is, there are other competitors, and that's what's really pushing this, is that now, because of the advancements of AI, because of the advancements of the realities of this being actually able to work, there are plenty of competitors that are out there coming for this, to include the taxis, right? The autonomous taxis, as well as robotics themselves. Elon showcased a bunch of the new robots, his Optimus robot, and their capabilities being much more lifelike. The movements are really developing very quickly. So again, this new world of robotics, of autonomous vehicles, that's really going to happen. It's not a far-fetched dream. This is within our lifetimes. It's really going to happen. So academia must take notice, and academia must really be more pressing, more urgent to understand what are going to be the problems that we're going to face, the issues, the situations that will just naturally happen, right? Life is always changing, but we need to be leading the cause. We need to be ahead of these issues. Again, the relevancy of higher education is that we have the capability to think ahead, to plan ahead in order to help our students. So I really urge everyone to think about this, to think about the future, and that how it's quickly coming, and robotics, AI, autonomous vehicles are going to be playing a major role. So we need to be prepared, and we need to fully prepare our students. So this is where AI literacy comes in, of course. This is a major aspect of awareness about what's going on. AI is going to be fully into those robots, fully into the autonomous vehicles. So we need to be aware of that, the capabilities. How's that going to affect us? How can we maximize the use of those things for our benefit? So we need to be teaching students, okay, is it going to be still advantageous to own our own vehicle, or is it more advantageous to not own our vehicle? Combustion engine, I love the combustion engine, but is it going to be more economical to have an electric vehicle as opposed to a combustion engine? So what are the pros and cons? We need to be able to ask those type of questions. Our students should be able to answer those type of questions. And then the knowledge as far as how is this working, what are the ramifications? Is data security an issue? There's all sorts of things going on with autonomous vehicles that become questions for us to be aware of, right? And that goes into the critical thinking, because this involves ethical issues. Elon Musk talked about how some of the research indicates that once we have autonomous vehicles, they will be 20 to 30% safer than humans driving. So that means less injuries. That means less deaths. That means less body work on the vehicles, less tire wear, less all these things that again affect the economy, affect society. So again, all sorts of questions to think about as far as how is this going to affect the future? What do our students need to know? There's also ethical aspects. There's some legislation in there talking about how with these autonomous vehicles, since they're going to be electric, that means that they'll have a remote kill switch, so that if the car is going in a crazy way, it can be taken care of remotely. Well, in the same way, let's say I have an electric vehicle and I'm driving it, but let's say, am under the influence of some narcotic, so now I'm driving erratically. Well, in the future, police officers will be able to turn it off remotely. Is that ethical? Is that okay? Part of me says, yeah, that sounds great, but there are ethical things there, right? Who makes those decisions? What's right? What's wrong? What are the pros and cons? Again, lots of different areas to think about, and that's where academia comes in. That's where we need to be proactive in thinking about this into the future so that we can be fully prepared. Together, we can come up with the best solutions, and again, have the best educational experience for everyone involved so that we can be fully prepared. All right, thank you very much. Please like and share, subscribe, so that we can continue to develop our community of inquiry. And remember, learning is for life.